Hi everybody, I'm Richard Fredrickson, and we are in fact in downtown Joliet. Welcome to downtown Joliet, to 158 Thayer's 158 at 158 North Chicago Street. And as I always do before I introduce the guests, I want to invite you personally to come on down to the restaurant. Lunch and dinner, fabulous. And this is the type of, the June, July, August, we have people coming up visiting with you. You're going to show them around the town. Great, we get great tours of the Rialto and Museum and the Bessemer Ovens and the Chicagoland Speedway, on and on. Great things to do here in Joliet. Before or after, make sure you go to one of our great designated restaurants, and this is one. This is a destination restaurant. The lunches are superb. The dinners are culinary delights. The chef Brett will do anything for you. If you don't see it on the menu, he'll cook it up for you. By the way, the pizza here is fabulous, and they've got great gourmet food. So make it a stop. 158 North Chicago here at Thayer's, and we thank Rick Fair for allowing us to come in and do these shows. I wanted to introduce you to Ed Kerfin. By the way, Kit, thank you very much stopping by, and I know you're a busy guy. This fella has more irons in the fire than I don't know what. It used to be Carter's liver pills, but they don't have them anymore. I met Ed. I don't exactly remember if you remember or not, but I actually saw you for the first time. I peeked into the studio about 2 years ago at WJOL Radio. We're going to talk about the show in a minute. But it was a St. Patrick's Day celebration in Plainfield where you were with a bunch of radio guys at, can't think of the name of the restaurant.
I can't remember the name either, but it was an Irish pub.
Yeah,
we had a great time.
At St. Patrick's Day. So Ed Kerfin is owner of Home Helpers and has a great show on WJOL Radio 1340 called
The Friends Over 50 Show.
All right, Friends Over 50. So how many? Raise your hand. How many out there over 50? Good. Well, you stay tuned. And those who are not over 50, you stay tuned as well, because there's information here you will want to know. As an example, the top 10 questions that you want to ask before choosing a caregiver. We're going to go through all 10 for you. Before we do that, though, let's make sure that you know all about Friends Over 50 on 1340 WJOL. Tell us about the show.
All right. Well, it's on 1340 a.m. It's every Friday from 10 a.m. to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It started out at a 30-minute show about 3 years ago, and we're lucky enough for Scott Slocum to bring us in and give us the opportunity, and it's turned into a 3-hour program now. So we talk about senior issues, lifestyle, money, and healthcare issues. We like to have a little bit of a quirky show. We have fun, different kinds of guests come on, and then we get into the serious issues. I love A&E. I love the History Channel, so we have folks on from those. We have Barbara Eden coming on, Olivia Newton-John. I have Eddie Money coming on this next week. So, and we also have the quirky folks like from Pawn Stars from the History Channel. Also, Billy the Exterminator. Just some fun, interesting, quirky type of guests.
Yeah. Now I ask you, where would you be able to tune in to an interview with Billy the Exterminator and his brother Bobby?
Yeah.
I don't know what his brother's name is.
He does have Ricky.
Ricky, you've seen the and Mom and Dad are also characters on that show, and the sister or girlfriend or someone else, female, shows up once in a while. You've got a great lineup of guests that you just wouldn't hear anywhere else except on Friends Over 50. You also have, well, let me go back a little bit. 3 years and 2.5 months. What made you do this? Why this show? What's the reason for WJOL and your relationship?
Yeah. Well, what happened is I own another retail store called the Human Race Sports, and about 3 years ago, I was looking for ways of promoting my business, Home Helpers. So I called Scott Slocum, the morning guy at WJOL, and the program director, and say, Scotty, I'd like to come on your show, talk to you about my new business. And he goes, no problem, buddy boy, anything you want. When do you want to come on? We talked about it, and he goes, what are you doing? And he said, you need to come in and talk to me. We've been talking about doing a show for seniors. So I went in assuming that I was going to be their sponsor of the show, and he actually wanted us to have our own show. So we went back and forth and talked. We started out at 30 minutes, and we talked about senior issues. I'm surprised we didn't get fired at the time because it was all typed out, all 30 minutes. And next thing you know, Scott kept going, and we're at 3 hours. And it was about promoting our business, but we don't promote the business. We do commercials, and it's a sponsor like anyone else. We made it a talk show. We want it to be fun, and we want it to be very giving back to the community.
So it's unique, it's special, it's different, and not only is it on 1340 WJOL, but in addition to that, you are streaming live, and folks can pick up a show where?
On WJOLFriendsOver50.com or WJOL.com, and they can stream live and listen to anywhere in the world.
And that is a plus, because I know many of us have relatives, particularly in that area of concern on caregiving, that may live in Arizona, they may live in Florida. You are listening to the show here in Joliet or Will County or the Chicagoland area, and maybe you say, you know what, I wish Mom or Dad could listen in. Well, now they can, and there's a variety of ways. And before we end the show, we'll put a few of those up on the screen so you remember where to tune in to Friends Over 50. One of the things I found out, I don't know if you still do this or not,
yeah.
but you have some kind of relationship with Grant's Hardware where you give away fun stuff?
We do. We have a relationship with Grant's Appliances. The last Friday of every month, we give away an electric grill. It's about a $500 retail price. It's a beautiful grill. It's indoor-outdoor. It's a beautiful unit, and all they have to do is go to WJOLFriendsOver50.com, click on contests, and they can enter. And we just randomly pick an email address for the winner.
Okay, so we don't have to go through, notes and math questions or
no.
Trivia questions.
Just click on it and sign up. Put your name in there, and you won't get any emails from anybody. You're just entering to win this free grill, courtesy of Grant's Appliances.
Fine. Now, I don't know if you still do this or not, but you used to have someone on who would do sort of a review of restaurants.
Yeah.
You still do that?
We do the restaurant review most weeks. We've also reviewed Thayer's restaurants, and I wanted the restaurant review to be a little bit different. You know, I don't like all the foof that you get from a lot of restaurant reviewers. I just want to go there. You know, is the food good? What's the if they have meat, potatoes, are the washrooms clean? Did you get to see the kitchen? Those are the kind of questions I want to know. And then, of course, my mom, who's done many of our reviews, she wants to know if she can take leftovers. Can she share meals? Is it okay if her husband Rich takes the sugars and the extra dinner rolls? And so we try to make it a little bit fun, a little bit quirky, a little bit different.
Well, good. Anything else that's on the show you do? Now, not on the show. In this show that is not rehearsed.
Yeah.
You still have that trainer you're working with, kind of an on-air thing you announced that you were doing some training?
We do. We used to do Kung Fu update. I was taking karate, and I was constantly getting hurt. They're making fun of me. A lot of the show I'm being made fun of. But we had Kung Fu Fridays where I'd talk about the Kung Fu events. Now we have Mary McGee from Inwood Athletic Club come in to talk about training and weight loss and tips for people that may have certain health problems or older, or maybe just getting off the couch looking to get back in somewhat of shape. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's fun.
So a lot of fun stuff, and it's Friday from 10 a.m.?
10 a.m. to 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, so right after the ladies at WJOL, you transition into you.
We do.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any kind of, when they leave and you come on, do you have any conversation with those characters?
We did, and I'm hoping we're going to start that now that tax season's over. I'm hoping we'll do that again. It makes the engineer pretty nervous. He said it's the scariest half hour of his day, of his week actually, when we transition from their show to ours. It usually goes south pretty quick.
All right. Well, Ken, Ed Kerfin is here with us today, and 1340 WJOL, and the show is called Friends Over 50, and we'll give you more information on that as we conclude. You mentioned, before we get into home helpers, which is the real focus of the show here today, you mentioned another business, the Human Race.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, the name of the store is the Human Race, and it's located in Orland Park, and we also have one in Valparaiso, Indiana. It's a store dedicated to helping walkers and runners with their running shoes and whatnot and training. They may be training for a marathon or just to exercise. And we had the store 11 years now. People go in, they're expertly fit, professionally fit, so that they can go out and not get injured while they're out on a walk or a run.
That is something I learned years ago. Believe it or not, I actually did some 5Ks. Dick Schuster behind the camera, he doesn't believe that, but I did.
Yeah.
And we had some fun runs. You really do have to take care of your feet, man. If you don't take care of those feet, as a young man, you're going to have problems as you mature. As a young woman, you're going to have problems as you mature. So if you are among the millions who are going with this weather, running, jogging. You know, a couple of weeks ago out at the Dollinger Farm, they had the Warrior.
The Warrior Dash.
What was it called?
Was it the Warrior Dash?
The Warrior Dash, and all kinds of 5Ks and fundraising, fun stuff. But the days of just putting on a pair of this will really date me. A pair of Keds are gone.
Converse.
You know, you really need to have a good pair of shoes.
And you won't get that at a box store. When you go to a box store, you're not going to get the service where you're actually professionally fit, where you're videotaped, your foot is scanned to make sure you get exactly what you should have.
Good idea. It's called the Human Race. Located where again?
15148 South LaGrange Road in Orland Park. You can go to humanracesports.com.
Okay. So where is that near? I mean, I don't have a GPS.
Well, if you're a guy, it's in Orland Park and LaGrange Road, across from Hooters.
Okay.
If you're a woman, it's in Michael's Plaza, Michael's Crafts.
Gotcha. I know exactly where that's at because I know Michael's Plaza.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now here is the heart and the soul and core of Ed Kerfin, and that is Home Helpers, making life easier. Before we talk about the company itself, how did you get involved with this one?
Well, I worked for the federal penitentiaries for a number of years. I'm a former fireman, and I knew my contract was up, and I needed to look for something else. Both of my grandmothers were ill. My one grandmother was just as mean and as sharp as she ever was, except her body was falling apart. My dad had a caregiver for her. My mom, on the other hand, had a caregiver for her mother. Her mom was the sweet grandma type, but she had Alzheimer's. And my mom and our family decided to keep my grandmother home, and my mom had excellent help for her mother. My dad did not. He was just happy the house didn't burn down. And I thought, why can't I do this and provide a business and a service to people, give the same service that I want for my grandmother and that we provided for other people's grandmothers or mothers? And that's what we did. So we started Home Helpers.
So is Home Helpers, is that a franchise?
It is a franchise. We cover most of Will County, a little bit of Cook and DuPage.
Okay. Good. And again, and I know you're busy and you may be watching, 10, 15-minute snippets of these shows. You can come back and because we're on several times, maybe catch a bit more of the show. But what I'd like you to do right now is that we'll put that website up there for you. I'll have it for you, just right there, so that you can go there and get information that we're going to share with you now, but you may forget or whatever, so you'll have it there for yourself.
It's JolietSeniorCare.com.
Okay, so we're going to do that right now. Now, every statistic that I've seen so far says basically we're living longer, and that's wonderful. That's great. But as we age, we need assistance, we need help, and one of the huge benefits that I've read is that if you can stay home, there's nothing wrong with the great, wonderful assisted care places that we have out in our area, our nursing homes we have in our area, the best of the best. But if I'm reading the statistics correctly, your health, your mental, your physical state is better if you can possibly stay at home. Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely, absolutely. In 1935, the Social Security Administration was formed, and at the time, the average life expectancy was age 61, and retirement age was age 65. And we know people are living much longer. They're living in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, and it's just going to keep growing. Healthcare has improved, and more people have accessibility to healthcare, and it's just going to grow. And we have found if people stay home when they're having health issues, even with Alzheimer's, any kind of dementia, they're better off at home. If they go to a nursing home or a facility for a length of period or a length of time, you do see a change.
Well, now, let's talk about Home Helpers. We don't usually do commercials here. We're not going to do commercials here. One of the reasons I have Ed on here is because I think it's timely, I think it's important, and I know that there are folks out there watching that need this information, and so we're going to give it to you. We're going to provide that for you. Home Helpers, making life easier. Kind of give me a full description of the services that you provide.
We provide in-home care services for seniors and other people with special needs. And probably the biggest thing I can tell you is, actually there's many reasons and many things to look for in a caregiver, but to me you have to be ingrained in the community. If you're a caregiver or an agency, you need to be licensed by the Illinois Department of Public Health. 3 years ago, September, the state required that. And it's actually made us much better. It makes us more accountable to ourselves with policies, procedures, manuals. And there's still many, many people, individuals or agencies, that are not licensed through the state. And I got to tell you, if they're not licensed by the state, you need to run.
Yeah. I did know that, and because the vulnerability of our seniors, the vulnerability of the children of the seniors who arrange, in many cases, will arrange for this kind of service, it's good that we have a license mechanism in place here in the state of Illinois. It's one of the highlights of some of the positive things that go on in our state of Illinois.
Absolutely. It's a lot of work. It's a big expense, but it's worth it. If you're committed to the business, in this industry, and the people, you will do it. The horror stories I hear about people that are not licensed, I call them illegals because they're not licensed.
Right.
That they'll come here, they'll do work, go to the old country, you can't find them, the theft. There's no accountability. And to me, if you're all about the money, let me put it this way. If someone comes in to you, talk to you about hiring you as a caregiver, and you get the feeling it's all about the money, it is about all the money.
Yeah.
It's got to be about people, it's got to be about care, it's got to be about the community. The money has to come second.
All right, so we have a license.
Yes.
Now, what can we provide?
Well, first of all, if you don't mind, I'll give the top 10 reasons, and the number one is be licensed by the Illinois Department of Public Health. There's things that the state requires, and we required actually even before the state did. Fingerprinting. We require fingerprinting. It's electronically done. We can do background checks instantly with the state police to see if they have any outstanding warrants, if they have any felonies. They tell you, if someone has a felony, I wouldn't send them to my grandmother. I'm not sending them to yours.
Right.
Absolutely. The other thing is, too, is we check the National Sex Offender Registry. We want to make sure that they have no history of being a predator. Again, it's a concern. The National Health Care Registry. I want to know if somebody's done something and has gotten in trouble working for another agency and they've been put on the registry. That gives me a heads up knowing that I better not hire these people or bring them on. Very important.
Okay, so we're going down the top 10 questions that people should ask. Not should ask, definitely should ask before choosing a caregiver. It's important. So that's two. Is that
well,
two?
Actually, yeah, that's two. The third one is, does the agency have an office? Brick and mortar. To me, if you have an office that's not in your basement, and I get that people work out of their basement, but this is not that kind of a business. You need to show that you're ingrained in the community, brick and mortar, where people can actually visit you. See that you're for real. Do you have a facility? You're not just hiring somebody off the street and shoving them into your home. For instance, I have a classroom. I offer our classroom to the community for community events. I also have a bedroom that actually looks like my grandma's bedroom. It has the pictures in there she had. It has a picture of my grandpa and grandpa in there, but it has a hospital bed. It has a Hoyer lift to show people how to get them in and out of the bed, a wheelchair, a bedside commode. These are important things to be able to teach how to move somebody without them getting hurt. I also offer it to family caregivers. So if there's a family caregiver that's providing care at certain points during the week, come to our training. No charge. Just come in, sit through the training, learn how to do these things correctly.
Wow,
Makes a big difference.
That's a great offer. That really is a great offer because I know there are those of you out there who are caring for, maybe mom or dad or Aunt Mary. Maybe even, it doesn't always mean a senior.
Right.
You have some folks who have disabilities that need help and assistance beyond just the medical help and assistance.
Absolutely.
Okay. You have number 4.
The next, does the agency provide specialized programs? And that's important too, because I have caregivers that are specifically trained for hospice. Hospice is a big deal now. People want to die at home. It's less money on the government. And there's companies out there that provide hospice care. And we have caregivers that are specifically trained just for that, how to deal with the families. A lot of times it's actually the family that needs more help than the person that's dying. But how to take care of the family, how to take care of the caregiver, how to communicate with the hospice nurse. The hospice nurse is in charge other than the family. So is our caregiver a liaison between the family and the caregiver? Make sure that the caregiver is providing for that family, make sure there's food ready, taking care of visitors, who's allowed in and who's not. Hoarding. We have programs with caregivers strictly on hoarding. I can't believe how many hoarders are out there. It's amazing. Hospice assist, caring for the caregiver. We provide caregivers that are in a situation where they find out that the family caregiver is having problems and issues. We try to help with that. Depression. Family caregivers sometimes get so wrapped up and involved, they don't go out.
And they have no life.
They don't take care of themselves.
Yeah.
They stop bathing. We also have a special program for live-ins. We provide live-in care 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 24 hours a day. Most people don't know you don't hire a live-in caregiver. You have to have more than one. And what we do is we provide 2 to 3 for one client so that caregiver doesn't get too ingrained and too comfortable. We hear the horror stories of them hiring a caregiver that moves in, and that's one caregiver. Next thing you know, they want them out, they have to evict them. If the caregiver doesn't want to go, you have to evict them. Huge issue, but it's something that has to be dealt with. And then of course, the next is the caregiver a direct employee of the agency? First of all, you have to have insurance, liability insurance. Things happen. Bonded, theft. There are occasions that happens, theft. And the biggest thing is workers' compensation insurance. Working for us in an agency like ours, our employees all work for us. They're W-2 employees. We work with them. We have an accounting firm, Wormer Rogers, right here in Joliet. Make sure everything's done right. But there are agencies that that will do placement. Once they place a caregiver in your home, they're done with that caregiver. They no longer have insurance. So can you imagine having a caregiver get hurt at your house? You could be sued. You can have your homeowner's insurance if you have it. Hopefully we'll have to pick up some of the cost. It is a concern. And who's accountable? We're accountable. I'm accountable. I want people to be able to call me 7 days a week, 24 hours a day with concerns. Also, Social Security. If you're paying these folks cash and not paying their Social Security and FICA, that's also against the law. And we have heard of people, especially
of course,
people running for office, it does come back to bite them. So.
Yeah. So, and all of these are on your website.
Yes, they're all on our website. They can go to Joliet Senior Care, and we will make sure that they have this list in their hand, no matter who they're talking to.
So a couple of what I always say are nuggets is that aside from what you've just talked to us about the 10 questions that people should ask, you're providing companionship.
Yes.
Which is so important. At whatever stage of life you're at, people need to have people.
Yes.
And the touch of someone.
Yes.
You know, if you live by yourself and you have maybe relatives coming in once a week or something checking on you, you don't have that touch, that human contact that we all need. And you mentioned this, the general assistance, the things that your people will do. Does it include housekeeping?
To normal daily activities of life. We want to make sure that this person is taken care of. They're getting to the doctor, they're dressed, they're clean, they're groomed, that they look like they're being well taken care of, they're being well fed. I have some of our caregivers are phenomenal cooks. We want to make sure they're happy and they're being taken care of. We also communicate with the family. The state requires to have a care plan at the person's house you're taking care of. We also have a logbook, which I also think is important, so that families can communicate. I had a gentleman call us that's in Germany in the service. He needs help for his mother here. So we set up something special for him so he can communicate with us via the internet to get daily updates on his mom. You have to communicate with the family.
You know, that's a whole new show, actually, because we have heard the horror stories of our men and women who are serving in the military are just like you and I. They've got all these domestic issues, they've got all these problems going on at home, and they're in Iraq, they're in the Middle East, they're in South Korea, wherever they may be, they're not home. And I hadn't thought about that.
Well, I can tell you, we do charge an hourly fee, but when we are hired to take care of that person and we can't get a hold of family, we will do it, whatever we have to do. We don't care if we get paid for it or not. We take the responsibility seriously. Absolutely. The patient comes first. There's policies and procedures in place. Their caregivers know what to do if there's an emergency. They call 911, call us, and we conference the family. The family has to be up to date. And if there's a change in the person we're taking care of, if there's any changes. There's families that don't see their mom and dad. They may talk to them, but not see them for weeks or months at a time. There has to be open communication so they know if there's any changes that they need to be aware of.
Let me set up an example here
Sure.
as a question. So a woman, and she's a widow, and living in a townhouse, condo, maybe the original home, but she's by herself. And she does have family who check up on her, and but they need to have some additional assistance. One of the things that many women in my example, uh, they used to belong to a club, or they would once a week or once every 2 weeks they'd go out to lunch or breakfast with the ladies. It would kind of be ladies' day out or something like that. Is that something that you could assist with, just to take her out to lunch? I mean, to take her to the lunch? I mean, or is that something the family has to do?
No, we will absolutely do them with their normal daily activities of life. When we do our assessment in our care plan, I want to know, do they like watching The Price is Right? Are they going to tune into Friends Over 50 on WJL on Fridays? What do they like to do? Do they go to the Red Hat Club? I believe that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Do they go out for lunch? Do they meet their sisters? Whatever. We will make sure that they get there. Our caregiver will either drive them in their car or the person's car that we're taking care of, and make sure they're where they're supposed to be. Absolutely no problem. We love to do it.
And I presume that the elderly gentleman, he needs a haircut, you take him to the barber shop?
Absolutely. Or if they have a problem, can't get out to the barber shop, we have relationships. Someone will come in and take care of them at home. But the idea is to make their life as normal as possible. Yeah. Try not to stress them any more than they already have to be. They may already stop driving. That's a huge stress and a problem for older people.
Yeah. And particularly when their children take their car away.
They lose their independence, or they feel they lose their independence.
Right.
We want to make sure they don't, that they're happy and still have a good, productive life, quality of life.
So as we conclude the interview today, Ed, I'm just thinking of this because I've gone through some of these scenarios with my parents and my wife's parents as well. The need for independence and the need for well-being, all of these things count for quality of life.
Absolutely.
Quality of life. So there are those out there right now, and I don't know what the magic age is. It could be 50, it could be 70, it could be 80, it could be 90. There's a couple watching right now, and they've got the wherewithal, they have the education, they understand what's going on here. They want to make some decisions on their own. And maybe life is okay right now, but you're looking ahead maybe 5 years or 3 years, 2 years down the line. Are you open to talking to these people, just knowing that maybe they're not going to be immediate clients, but maybe 2 years, 6 months, 3 years down the line, at least they're thinking about it and they want to have more information?
Richard, I get calls from all over the country. I don't care who you are or what information you need. What time of day it is. If you need help, call me. If you need just advice, questions, things to look for, call me. If you have questions on long-term care, people need to be looking into long-term care insurance. It's critical. Call me. I will help you. I'll give you some advice, some suggestions, and give you the information you're looking for. I don't care if you use our services or not. Call me. We'll give you the best information we can.
That's great, and really appreciate that. One thing I do know, though, is that long-term insurance, you got to be making that plan. And when you're 30 and 40 years old, in your early 50s, for long-term insurance, unless the premiums go sky high. So